Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. At this time, I'd like to ask Carol Sobchak, our club's chair of the Friendship Committee and District Strive Committee chairperson, I think I got that title right, to lead us in a reflection and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Kevin. And good afternoon, President Kevin, fellow Rotarians, and honored guests. This Rotary year is coming to a close very soon. Our theme this year has been the magic of Rotary, and in looking back at the last year, I can see that this club in particular has done a lot of magic this year, so we should all be pretty happy for that. But our theme for the coming year is Unite for Good. How appropriate that seems in a world that seems very disunited right now. So how can our world unite for good? Sounds overwhelming. But as it is said, every journey begins with a single step. So let us unite for good in our families, with our friends, in our club, in our community, and beyond. Now please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I take your notes?
Please don't. I mean, you can.
No.
As we begin our meeting, I'd like to thank Max Reddish, a realtor with Danbury Realty, as being this month's meeting sponsor. I saw Max around there somewhere. There he is, right in front of me. Max, thank you. If anybody has any guests, Zach is in the middle of the room with the floor mic. Please make your way there to introduce your guests.
President Kevin, I want to introduce Mark Muller. This is his second time joining us. He's part of Miller Pipe Organ. They rebuild pipe organs. They rebuild a lot of the pipe organs around this region. Mark, welcome again.
Thank you. Mark, thanks for being here. All right, I see some others making their way there.
President Kevin, fellow Rotarians, my guest is Laura Emerson, formerly with WUPW and now with Edward Jones.
Laura, good to see you. All right, I saw some visiting Rotarians in the room as well. Haifa, I know, is back. Haifa from Reynolds Corners Rotary, thank you so much for being here. And also Jim Spambauer. Jim is the president of Waterville Rotary. Jim has also recently accepted the position to be the assistant governor for our region. So we'll be serving our club. So Jim, thank you so much. Jim organized a tour of the 180th where he retired from a couple of weeks ago and was kind enough, he did it for his club, kind enough to reach out and tell me that I'm welcome to invite any of you to join as well. And instead of that, I took my wife and my kids. And we had a phenomenal time. So there were 5 Toledo Rotarians in attendance, and all of them live in my household. So Jim, thanks for doing that. It was a great time, and I appreciate you being here. Jim's been a good friend and support throughout this past year, and I appreciate him being here today. All right, this time I will invite Dr. Shanda Gore or Emily Zarecki to the podium for an update from the membership committee. All right, they're both here. Perfect, I love it.
All right. Thank you, President Kevin. This will be our last time at the podium. Yes. as we get ready to rotate to our wonderful new co-chairs who will be actually coming on starting in July. But we wanted to take a moment on behalf of the Rotary Membership and Engagement Committee to say first thank you to everyone who's helped us get to the remarkable numbers. As you may or may not know, we hit 100 new members this last year. Particularly, I'd like to have the Committee for Recruitment and Engagement for our membership committee. Can you stand, please? I know you're eating, but please stand. All the committee members are in a room. Can you give them a round of applause? Thank you. Everyone's consistent messaging, and I mean everyone in here, talking to those who may not know about what Rotary does and has helped us make our goals, I can't thank you enough. You continue to help all of the organizations that we provide services to in that volunteer capacity, meaning service above self. We have a survey, look at this beautiful QR code, thank you, Jackie, that we're attempting to have you give your input at this time as we continue to build a positive culture of service above self. We want and need your input. This is the time. Thank you. I see the phones going out and looking at the QR code. Thank you. Thank you. This will help the next generation of chairs that are coming in. Thank you again to the great co-chair, Emily Zarecki, for all of her engagement. And so I just can't say thank you enough personally for that. And to all the leaders who've supported our efforts on this committee, thank you so very much.
Thank you. And thank you, Shanda, also for doing an incredible job leading our recruitment efforts. And I wanted to also say thank you to all of you who have supported our engagement efforts. So all of our events that we have outside of our Monday meetings, where you've brought guests to our coffee connections, to our happy hours, to our other events like Holly Trolley and our opening day event, which was really fun, our first, which I hear we're going to do again next year. So I just wanted to say thank you for supporting our events, bringing guests to those events as well, and wanted to invite you to please join us to our last event of the year. June 19th is our Member Awards event. So please join us. I know there's more information in the Spoke. We'll be at Shoemaker's offices. So please join us on the 19th. Thank you all.
We've got a party this Friday. So MESA, Medical Equipment and Supplies Abroad, an organization that was founded by Rotary District 6600, is what I refer to as the world's greatest recycling program, where it takes expired, retired, outdated medical equipment and delivers it to countries all over the world that need it. This year, they've sent several shipments, or since the war in Ukraine started, they've sent several shipments to Ukraine, and they've sent, many shipments to Central America and beyond. It's an incredible organization. Their lone fundraiser of the year is a bike ride that kicks off this Friday. The Mesa Bike Tour will start in Toledo, and we've got a kickoff Friday night at the Oliver House. You are all welcome to attend. There's a registration that was sent out in the Spoke. We can also get that information to you. Come see me afterwards if you'd like to join us. It'll be a great time to celebrate with the riders before they head out on Saturday morning, and a chance for us to celebrate the great work of Mesa. This is I'm scanning the crowd for Tim Ryan. Is this 30 years? 20 years? 42 years. See, that was great math. I was going to get there eventually. So 42 years of Mesa. I think this is the 30th year of the Mesa Bike Tour. And so we're excited to have that kickoff here in Toledo, of course, the home of our district governor, Tim Ryan. So excited for you guys all to be there and help join us celebrate 6 o'clock Friday at the Oliver House. All right. So I mentioned to some of the folks from Nationwide Children's that I went back and I watched a previous program. It's not often that the best intro we could possibly have for a program came from a previous program. But when Judd Silverman spoke to our club a month or so ago, he had about a 3.5-minute long love fest on Nationwide Children's Hospital, and at one point had said, it is one of the greatest gifts our community has ever received. And the greatest. I'm sorry, the greatest. I think I was modifying that just for other folks in the room that might be upset about that. So the greatest gift our community has received, and that kind of praise from someone like Judd Silverman, you take seriously. And so I don't think we let Jen Strauss get out of the room before I said, we've got a few dates left, please pick one. We want to hear more about Nationwide Children's. So I could be more excited to have you here today to celebrate the great work you're doing and for us all to learn a little bit about the greatest gift our community has ever received. Please a round of applause and please welcome Jen Strauss and Dr. R.W. Mills.
Thank you. I'm going to grab this one. Give you this one.
Hello.
There we go. There we go, Nancy. The clicker.
Okay.
Oop, there we go.
See if this works.
Got it? All right, I'll stand over here.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, well, thank you, President Kevin and Toledo Rotary for having us here today. We'll introduce ourselves here and then we'll kind of get right into it. So I'm Jennifer Strauss. I'm the Vice President, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Toledo. Born and raised in Toledo and been in healthcare pretty much my entire career, helping women and children access services. So very proud to be part of Nationwide Children's Hospital, Toledo. Share a little bit more about that today.
And I'm R.W. Mills. I'm the Chief Medical Officer for Nationwide here in Toledo. I'm originally from Appalachia. I'm from Zanesville, Ohio, for those of you who know about Zanesville. And then came here, fell in love with the community, decided to stay here for medical school, which was, I went to Miami University and then had a couple of different options for medical school. Came here and that was several years ago now. I've been in the community almost 40 years, but kind of fell in love with the medical college. Was relatively new at that point. Told my folks, I said, you know, I think I'm gonna train in Toledo. And like a lot of people that train here, they end up staying here. Too much feedback? There we go. Perfect. And that's exactly right. So I ended up training here, did my medical school here, fell in love with pediatrics, did my residency here in pediatrics, became chief resident, and then met I have 3 incredible women in my life that I credit for all of my success, the first being my wife. Best decision I ever made in my life was asking her to marry me and then her accepting. We had 4 children, 4 boys, and one of whom was a special needs child, Noah, who kind of shaped who we are as individuals. I think I felt that I was an empathetic individual at that point as a pediatrician. You understand what compassion and empathy is all about when you have somebody who's got special needs. And it also then hit home, and it makes you acutely aware of what we have in this community, what the strengths and weaknesses are in terms of the medical community. So it certainly shaped us and continues to this day in terms of some of the stuff you're going to hear about today in terms of collaboration and partnerships. You're going to hear a little bit about that. What we have done with Ann Grady, and my wife and I started Noah's House, which is a respite facility for families of special needs kids. I see Julia Hayes here today from Ann Grady. And what you're going to hear about today is just how important those collaborations and partnerships are all about. The second, my work wife, Natalie Decker, is here today. Natalie and I have been working together for over 30 years now. She was an ICU nurse at St. Vincent's when I was a resident and an attending at St. Vincent's working in the PICU. And we met each other there, and then she worked with me in private practice for multiple years. And she was fondly referred to by Lori as my work wife. And now I've got this incredible gratitude for my current person I'm working with, another brilliant young lady that is incredibly competent. And so I've been blessed to have these individuals kind of guiding me through my journey here in Toledo. So glad to be here today and glad to be able to tell you about what we've been doing from Nationwide side.
All right, so I think first just starting off talking about Nationwide Children's as an organization, as a hospital as a whole. So our mission centers around patient care, research, and education. And at the center of that is just really trying to achieve best outcomes for all children served. That's regardless of their ability to pay. We've been doing this for over 130 years. It's the core of who we are. And we really believe in health equity and making sure that every child has the access that they need, but also the access that they deserve. So a little bit more about Nationwide. So we're quality safety leader. We rank in all 11 pediatric specialties. Depending on what you look at, we're probably the second largest children's hospital in the country. We're based in Columbus, but you'll see on a couple of slides kind of going forward, we're definitely branched out. We serve patients from around the world. And so we have the largest pediatric primary care base, as well as the largest behavioral health network, which is it's just incredibly important for the community to be able to focus and to dedicate resources in the space of behavioral health. We're also a national research leader. So what we are striving to bring to Toledo is a lot of the work that happens in Columbus around research, is bringing the latest and the greatest technologies, clinical trials, and those types of things. Because again, it's not about shouldn't be about where you live. It should be about what you have access to, and we just want to continue to increase that access. And then at the center here, you'll see, Dr. Mills alluded to this a little bit, but really want to be that care and education partner in the pediatric space. So we do that now with over 30 different hospitals, both pediatric hospitals as well as adult systems throughout the state. It's something we're really proud of. It's the best way that we found to advance initiatives in children's health is really through partnership. So the complexity of pediatric care it's extremely complex, and so you can't do it alone. We have to do it with partners. There's a lot of community members here that we're grateful for, that we are glad that our guests here today, because we rely on you as experts in your field to help us advance that initiative. So, all right, so this is a very busy slide, kind of intentional maybe. So this just showcases a lot of the partnerships I was just talking about throughout the state of Ohio. So again, as I alluded to, there are pediatric systems here, there are adult health systems here, and those partnerships are really unique. It really is catered to what that hospital system is looking for, what that community need is. So this could look like anything from, we may run a NICU and an adult system, so our physicians, our hospital runs that neonatal intensive care program there. It could look like an educational partnership where we come in, we do simulations with nursing staff, with physicians in the emergency departments, and their labor and delivery units, just getting those nurses comfortable taking care of those pediatric patients. It could look like us staffing other children's hospitals. So we partner with Dayton Children's. They don't have certain subspecialists that we have. So we're, again, bringing those specialists to that community to really serve those community and what their needs are. So very unique partnerships, and each one of those are different. Mm-hmm.
So when I first saw that slide, I was kind of staggered by the spread through the entire state. I mean, this is what Nationwide is all about. And when I was part of an original group from Mercy Hospital back in 2019 that went to Columbus looking for a partner, when they talked about the importance of partnerships and collaborations and started talking about what they were doing, not only in their local community, but the entire state, Nationwide's goal is to not just be the best children's hospital in Ohio. They want to be the best children's hospital in the world. And they're committed to doing that through collaborations and then through strengthening their communities. So what they've done in Columbus, and then as you start to see slides like the one we just saw, that is all about community and about collaborating with the community and putting aside differences for doing the right thing for kids. And so when we went down in 2019, and Jeff Dempsey's here today, I saw Jeff. Jeff was part of that group that went down there looking for a partner for this community. It was quite obvious. We stood in the parking lot afterwards and said, oh my gosh, we found a partner finally, somebody that gets it, that says, hey, we're going to do the right thing for kids, and we're going to collaborate, and we want to collaborate with everybody to get that done. And so that's what that slide that she just shows that's statewide. And they're serious about collaboration. So when you look at us desiring partnerships, we want to partner with everybody. We want to partner with Mercy, which we have. We want to partner with ProMedica, which we have. We want to partner with UTMC, which we have. We want to partner with the community leaders, like I mentioned, Dan Grady, and connecting kids to meals. For us, it's all about partnership, and that is at its absolute most important. That's what we're about, is collaborating and doing that through the health system and also through the community organizations. Over there, historically, we've been fragmented in Toledo, and that has not served us well. So when Lori and I had Noah, we were one of those families, and we're going to hear more about some of the families affected by that, but we were one of those families. When Noah was born, he was born with a congenital brain malformation. He had what we call central vocal cord paralysis, which means when he was born, his vocal cords didn't work, which means, guess what? You can't breathe, which means you immediately have to have an intubation where you put a tube in to breathe for you. Would have been nice to have a pediatric ENT doctor in town. We didn't. We sat in the ICU for an entire weekend waiting for, guess what, insurance approval to be transferred to a unit where they had a pediatric ENT doctor to put a tracheostomy tube into our son. We sat there for 3 long days in the ICU waiting to get approval from the insurance company. It was a weekend, so they didn't have the process on Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday. We waited till Monday to get approval to get moved to Ann Arbor, to the NICU in Ann Arbor, where we spent the next week of our lives, having an intubation turned into a tracheostomy. He has congenital blindness, seizures, brain malformation, required a G-tube, feeding, tracheostomy, you name it. We lived it. We were one of those families. Sitting there in the ICU at Mercy, great, no question, great care, but waiting because we didn't have those services here. That impacts you when it's your child, when it's your grandchild. So didn't take much when we went down to Columbus and saw exactly what they had to offer, and then their commitment to doing the right thing for families, and then their commitment to Northwest Ohio, which they didn't have to do. My doctor said, this sounds a little too good to be true. Why would people in Columbus want to do stuff in Toledo? Why would they want to commit that amount of resources, both from a physician standpoint and from a monetary standpoint? What is their incentive? Sounds like, well, it's the right thing to do. And Rick Miller said to me, Rick, our CEO, who's the COO down in Columbus, just keep delivering RW, they'll get to it. No drama, just deliver. Collaborate, get done what you need to get done. So that's what we decided to do. So this fragmentation, we needed a partner, and we needed to partner big time with as many people as we could to get this done. Because guess what? To get pediatric subspecialists, I'm going to show a slide a little bit here about how tough it is to get pediatric subspecialists in the country, not just in terms of bringing them to Toledo, where we don't have a single unified children's hospital. We are competing for very, very small numbers of people. I'm going to show a slide that will demonstrate that. So it's tough. You cannot do it alone. Even nationwide in Columbus, you have to partner when you come to a place like Toledo, where we need to collaborate with our community and with our healthcare systems. Because it's very, very, very difficult to get pediatric subspecialists, no matter where you're at. Even in Columbus, they have a hard time. So when you get these pediatric subspecialists, guess what? They're incredibly highly trained. So they've done 4 years of general surgery, then they have to go and do 3 or 4 more years of pediatric surgery, and maybe some above and beyond that. They need to have the ability to perform exactly what where their expertise is. You need to have a certain critical population to do that. You can't do that with a community that's so small that you're not going to see those types of cases. So you have to have an entire community for those individuals to be able to practice their skills. Guess what? They can go to a children's hospital, or it's a single children's hospital, and there are 12 of them there, and now you're on call every 12th night and every 12th weekend, and you got all these colleagues. I can go to every 12, or I can come there, I can be on every other night, every other weekend. Maybe not so good, right? So that's what makes it tough if you're not collaborating. So we decided we were going to collaborate. Long wait times. So if I were to send you guys to a pediatric psychiatrist, one of your children, your grandchildren, to a pediatric psychiatrist, how long do you think it would take to get in? Months. That's correct. Months. So our other goal was we needed to decrease those wait times. We needed to bring those experts here so the community benefits from, hey, it's not going to take me 6 or 8 months to get in. I can get in maybe in 6 weeks. That's a huge difference from 6 months. So optimize access to care, bring down the wait times, and then collaborate to develop programs, and ultimately then to benefit the community and the kids and the women and children in the community. So what does collaborating to develop new programs look like? So I'm a general pediatrician. One of the most common things we have are kids with abdominal pain. And it can be pretty complex, but it's one of the common things. I'll see it multiple times a day. Now we have, through collaboration, pediatric surgeons, pediatric urologists, pediatric gastroenterologists, psychologists, social work, all working in a single clinic now for kids with abdominal pain and complex bowel issues, all in a single clinic. You can't do that if you don't have those experts here. So that's what I'm talking about. We have lots of programs that we've developed. That's just one of them. So what is our goal here? Our goal is to increase patient access so they have those subspecialists here, not in Columbus or Cincinnati or Cleveland, or those individuals exist, but if we can bring those people here, then you have that direct access to world-class talent. Recruitment and talent, our goal was to attract the best people, world-class surgeons, world-class nephrologists. I'm going to introduce some of these people as we go through the presentation today because some of them are here actually. And then develop those programs so that expertise is here locally for everybody to benefit from. So like Lori, we had to travel. So as a general pediatrician, it's very common for me to have, before we started doing what we're doing, have a family would get their, say, pediatric ENT airway stuff in Cincinnati. They would go to Cleveland for their seizure doctor, their epileptologist. They would go to Ann Arbor for their congenital heart disease, so their heart surgeon up there. And they're traveling all across 1, 2, sometimes 3 states. That's no exaggeration, that's true. I take care of a lot of special needs kids because of my history and background. So we want to make sure that we reduce that. And then again, it's benefiting the community and the who we're partnering with. We're going to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I'll give a little bit of information. That's a little bit of our why. Here's a little bit of our where. Where are we? So we are downtown. The inpatient units are inside Mercy Health St. Vincent campus down on Cherry Street, so 2213 Cherry. We have 76 inpatient beds. We have a 30-bed neonatal ICU. That's located on the 2nd floor, and then the Gen Peds unit and the PICU is located on the 6th floor inside the hospital. And then connected to the hospital is our medical office building. So a lot of our pediatric subspecialists, their primary location is there, although we are out in the community. And then we have 13 off-site locations, so both primary care and other specialty services. So again, we want to be where the patients are, so definitely being downtown is very important to us, but then also going out into those rural communities, out into the suburbs, we want to make it convenient. We want to remove barriers. People who struggle with transportation, you have to take off work, anything that we can do to try to remove those barriers so that those kids and those families can access these services is really what we're all about. So a couple photos here. So since Nationwide's come to town, we've done a little paint, a little butterfly action going on. So you can see Dr. Obedo up here. She's one of our general pediatricians, excited about her new space. But we've been able to relocate 3 of our primary care facilities into larger space, newer space, again, to help support that growth. So we know, yes, we need pediatric subspecialists. We also need primary care pediatricians as well. So we want people to be able to access their care for the preventative visits as well. So these are the visits you go to for your well visit to make sure that your kiddo's developing on time the way that they're supposed to be. And then also when they get some of those acute issues, their respiratory season comes in, maybe they get injured. And so really trying to build out the primary care network as well as our specialty services. You can see up here on the left, that's our new sports med ortho clinic. We have x-ray available there now as well out in Sylvania. So really just looking to continue to bring more and more access to care for kids in Toledo. All right, and so we were talking about with Kevin earlier. He's like, where are you guys serving? So this is really the primary service area that we have here at Nationwide Children's Toledo. This is where people are coming from. So we have, obviously, right on the border, we have some primary counties up there in Michigan, but that's kind of that that northwest corner there is what we're serving. However, we are getting patients throughout the nation now coming to Toledo and now from around the world, and Dr. Mills is going to talk a little bit about that. People are coming to Toledo for world-class care because of the types of physicians that we're bringing, the types of programs that we're building here, and that's a really big deal. So proud of where we're serving and just continuing to look to build those programs.
I'm actually going to skip ahead because Jennifer's right. It bears repeating. You would never have heard that statement in the history of Toledo. People are flying in internationally now for the care in Toledo, Ohio, for Toledo pediatric surgical care. Internationally. Now, how does that happen? That requires, guess what? World-class, famous, internationally known pediatric surgeons. How in the world do you get them here in Toledo? Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But before that, I'm going to show you how hard that is. This is actually from the Department of Pediatrics, department chairs across the nation, from the Association of Medical Schools. It says, all right, for how many of these medical students are going into pediatrics? Now, if you look here, this is back in 2009. We peaked, maybe here, we had a little peak here, but we were just less than 11% of medical students going into pediatrics. And then look what has happened since. This is the reality, folks. This is not me making up numbers. This is directly from the chairman of the departments all across the nation. As you can see, we don't have very many people going into pediatric subspecialties. Now, you can argue why that is. Most of us that are in pediatrics feel called to be in pediatrics. But you have to admit, this number looks pretty dire in terms of just above 8% of those individuals, highly talented, incredibly smart people, are going into pediatrics. So, having said that, how in the world then do you get those individuals to come to Toledo, Ohio, when there's no single children's hospital where they've got a bunch of people they can work with? How do you do that? Well, you have to partner. And so I want to give a little bit of a history about how that all happened. So for me, relationships are the key to everything that we do. And for me personally, they're the key to everything I do. So when I sat with Rick Miller and we decided we're trying to figure out how it is we go about trying to get the world's best here, how do we do that? So I came up with doing a collaboration that I referred to as the Toledo Provider Advisory Council, TPAC for short, and I called my friend Kent Bishop, who was the Chief Medical Officer of ProMedica, and I said, hey, and we knew each other when he was a young OBGYN and I was a young pediatrician. We used to cross-refer back and forth. Everybody come in, oh, who do you, oh, I see Bishop. Who do you go? I go Mills. So we started doing that from a professional standpoint. We had a professional relationship, but never, and then it kind of evolved from there. So I called him, I said, hey, Kent, I know you have a passion for infant mortality. I know you have a passion for doing the right thing. For the community, you're from the community. I'm here since medical school, loved medical college. Would you be willing to meet with me? And so in 2022 of August, he came back, I'll never forget this, he came back from a vacation early to meet with me at Levis Commons in Perrysburg, and we sat out in front of the Starbucks in the sun for 3 hours. Just the two of us, and talked and said, what can we do, the two of us, as leaders to where we're at in the positions that we're at, how can we make things better for Toledo? Would you be willing, and would ProMedica be willing, to partner with us to form what I'm going to call this TPAC, and would you be willing to partner and collaborate with us to bring the best pediatricians, the best pediatric specialists into Toledo? Let's put aside the history. Let's put aside the broken chain. Let's put aside, the competitiveness and the bitterness that has existed. Let's just do this, you and me. And he said, I'm in. So I then started making phone calls. He started making phone calls. I contacted Deepa Mukundam, who is the chairman of the Department of Pediatrics at the medical school. He started talking to the folks at ProMedica. Rick was all in from our side. I contacted Jeff Dempsey. He was all in from Mercy's side. And for the first time in the history of Northwest Ohio, we sent out a letter inviting certain pediatric providers, which each system had picked who they wanted to represent, as pediatricians, family practice, nurse, advanced practice nurse clinicians, to start to get together, to start to meet. Would you be willing to join TPAC so that we can figure out what we can do in pediatrics in the community collaboratively, so we can go rise above and do the right thing? So the letter went out, first time in the history of Toledo, and we ever had all of our insignias at the bottom of the letter. I'd go through legal to make sure that was okay. And the response was overwhelming. And so each system had their representatives. We came down here over at the registry, in the big room in the back. As I'm walking in from the street, I have one of the pediatricians that said, "Are there green tables and blue tables? Where do I sit? Where's the fighting going to be tonight?" And I said, "I think you're going to find something different. My hope is that you're going to find something different." And that night, we had all these representatives from the medical college, from Mercy, from Nationwide, and from ProMedica, sitting in the back of registry. And then you had the leaders. You had Jeff Dempsey there, the president of Mercy St. Vincent's was there. You had Arturo Paluzzi. You had Rick Miller. You had all the leaders sitting in the room, standing up in front of them and saying, "We're going to do the right thing for Northwest Ohio. We're going to collaborate, and we're going to do the right thing in the history of Northwest Ohio. We're actually going to do this." And the pediatricians in the room, they were a bit skeptical, kind of rolling their eyes. Okay, is this really going to happen? He says, "Yeah, sure this is going to happen." And I said, "We're going to ask you, what are we doing well? What are we not doing well? And prioritize who you would like to bring here, because you guys know, what do your families need? What do your patients need? You tell us, and then you hold us accountable. And the next quarter, we're going to come back and we're going to tell you what we did. And we're going to essentially win you over." I didn't say that, but I was thinking, we're going to win you over. As Rick said, just deliver RW, no drama, just deliver. So each quarter, more and more enthusiasm built as they started to see, because then Jennifer would get up and say, "Okay, you told us these are the priorities, these are the subspecialists we need, and now here's what we've done. Next meeting, next quarter, here's what we've done. You hold us accountable." And it kind of went viral, and all of a sudden, all the pediatricians were like, "Oh my gosh, this is actually going to happen." They're actually doing what they're saying they're doing. So that's kind of how this all started. And then you saw that how many pediatric subspecialists there are. Then you start to look and say, okay, what have you done for us? Well, ENT, we got the only pediatric fellowship trained provider in the region here in Toledo. Urology, all of a sudden we had pediatric urology. I saw Dan Murtaugh in the room. Great story. Dan's my urologist. His son's a urologist. My son is a hospitalist. Your son is now my son's urologist. So it's all about relationships, brother. And guess what? And attracting and maintaining and retaining good people here in Northwest Ohio. Pediatric surgery. This is where it really is huge. So you heard me, reference world-class, renowned pediatric surgeons. I think Judd probably referenced this because he's got a relationship with Jim Geiger. Jim and Mary and Lori and I, our kids grew up together. And so I had a relationship with Jim and Mary well before that. It's all about relationships. Pick up the phone, talk to Jim. Here's what we're doing, Jim. Would you like to be part of this? Jim was all in, right? And next thing you know, we've got 4 world-class pediatric surgeons in Northwest Ohio. And the only way we can do that is to collaborate, because guess what? They need access to the entire region. They need access to the patients from ProMedica, from UTMC, from Nationwide, from Mercy. And so that's how you get those individuals here. You tell them we're going to do it. We're going to do it collaboratively. And that's what we got. Pediatric sports medicine, we have the first fellowship-trained pediatric sports medicine. I got him from Johns Hopkins, trained down at the IMG Academy in Florida. And now we've hooked him up with pediatric surgeons, both from Nationwide and from ProMedica, in the same space. One-stop shop. They can come there, they can get their orthopedic, they can get their sports medicine, they can get their x-rays, physical therapy. So colorectal and pelvic reconstructive services. This is one of those things that you don't hear about except in certain major centers across the country. That requires a highly trained pediatric surgeon, and guess what? One of our pediatric surgeons is also an interventional radiologist. They're now doing procedures with the MRI-guided surgeries. rarely done across the nation, being done here in Northwest Ohio. Neurosurgery, we actually have a pediatric neurosurgeon. Actually comes up from Columbus. We're working on having somebody here full-time, and that requires collaboration as well. Behavioral health, I see Sharnita's here. Sharnita, we recruited. She's now head of our mental health division. 6 pediatric psychologists. Yeah, 6. You'll see the numbers here in a second. If I could hire 5 pediatric psychiatrists tomorrow, I would. It's just they're not available. But we were blessed. Sharnita heads up our mental health division. We've got 6 pediatric psychologists now. We have a pediatric behavioral doctor. Talked to one of my families here. We're going to see a little bit about them. We have that. Those are incredibly rare individuals. We have a pediatric behavioral doctor here now full time. So this is the slide. So we started showing these slides at our quarterly meetings of TPAC, because you can see in 2022, after Kent and I met and we started the TPAC, we started and said, okay, what are those things you're looking at? And then you start to go through here. You got endocrinologist now, a pulmonologist, 3 primary care providers, hospitalists. The next year, then we're up 4 psychologists, developmental behavioral pediatrician, ENT, GI, hepatology. Pediatric GI is again, very rare. We have a hepatologist, a pediatric hepatologist in Northwest Ohio. Now, that's a liver specialist. Incredibly rare. There's a handful of them in the nation. We've got one here now. Neurologist, nephrologist, I think they're both here today, yeah. Mm-hmm. So actually I'm going to ask you to stand up. Yeah. We've got Ridwan Tarabishi and Elisa Riley, pediatric nephrologists, kidney doctors, here in Toledo. World class. Alyssa just is the most recent to join us. Came from Texas Children's Hospital, one of the largest children's hospitals in the world, and is a leader in the country on pediatric nephrology for the American Academy of Pediatrics, that division of nephrology. She actually is one of the leaders on that committee. And we have her here in Northwest Ohio. The general surgeons we talked about, orthopedic surgeons, sports medicine talked about, neurology and NP. We go to 2024, we added 2 pediatric cancer doctors. One of who moved her family from Anchorage, Alaska. She headed up and started the first children's oncology group ever in Anchorage, Alaska. She came. Why did she come? Collaboration, vision for the future. We believe in the vision. That's why she's here. Physical medicine and rehab. These people are incredibly rare. We now have 2, physical medicine and rehab. Urologists, now we have one coming. We've got the head of urology here, Brian Sachs, and then we have a new one coming from University of Iowa Children's Hospital, and she'll be joining us in the next several months. Another psychologist, general surgery APP, and 5 more primary care providers. So we're reporting each of these TPAC meetings, and they're saying, oh my gosh, they're actually doing it. And in 2025, we're bringing another cardiologist, another general surgery APP, another psychologist, a pediatric rheumatologist. Look, I've been here 40 years. Ain't happening, never. In the history, we've never had one. Dedicated here. Now, you'll have somebody visits once every 6 weeks for one afternoon. We've never, ever had a pediatric rheumatologist. We have one coming. They'll be here in the next couple months as well. Another pulmonologist, we just brought another pulmonologist in, more pediatric providers. Pediatric genetics, the last time we had a pediatric geneticist, I was at the medical college. As a medical student, Ted Krasinski, I'll never forget, brilliant guy. He was the last time we had a pediatric geneticist. Guess what? We just signed another one, Northwest Ohio. So when you look at the number of pediatric subspecialists and people going into pediatrics to begin with, because the ones that are going into subspecialty, even fewer than those 8%, this is unbelievable what we now have done to help for the community. This is all about, exactly, yeah. But this cannot be done without collaboration. You can't do it. Each individual hospital can't do it. You have to work together. So that's the beauty of that is that people have decided to actually work together. So Go ahead. Jim.
Yeah, so when we bring all of the specialists here, we're talking a little bit about some of those clinics that we've started. So these are new services. So when we bring in the talented individuals that we were talking about, these are some of the services we didn't even have here before. And so you can kind of see we're kind of slowing down a little bit, right, because we're starting to grow everything that we do have, and very proud of that work. You can just see all of the services that we brought here that just, they weren't available. And so these are people, these are families that had to travel to go there. The other thing I think is really important when we're talking about recruitment, we're talking about collaboration. We talked a lot about the health entities collaborating. The other big piece that Dr. Mills and I have the pleasure of talking about when we have recruits come is we get to talk about the city of Toledo. And I think that's a really big selling point. Obviously, I'm from here. I love Toledo. It's just an incredible city to live in, to grow in, to raise a family in, and so that's a big selling point as well. So when we're out here partnering with all of you and all the work that you're doing to kind of lift up that community, that's something that we get to brag about. We get to take a community tour with these individuals. They get to see themselves not only working here at a great institution, but living and raising their families in Toledo, and so that's just something that it helps our job when we're trying to bring people here. It just thank you all for what you're doing, because it really makes a difference when people see everything that we have going on with our museum system, with the zoo, just with the metro parks, all of these things, the amount of art and culture and restaurants, quite frankly, that we have here. It's important to people, I'm telling you, people like to eat. That's a big selling point. And so people can not only, like I said, see themselves being part of this vision, being part of impacting people's lives, but they can also have a very nice place to raise their family. So that's a big deal.
So these are the four surgeons that we've got now locally. Jim Geiger heads up the group, and Jim has an international reputation. These people are flying in from across the world for Jim, who's doing some very cutting-edge surgical techniques on kids that have malignant tumors and with metastases, and some surgical procedures on those kids that are giving those families and those kids new hope, longer life, better quality life, and he's being recognized internationally. And so these people are flying in to see Jim and his team. Steve Bruck, who's worked with Jim. These two are very close mentors. And then they've kind of mentored these two individuals. Marcus is our interventional radiologist and a pediatric surgeon. I think Marcus is Harvard trained. And then Matt Rawls, who does the colorectal, heads up our colorectal division. And it's amazing. I don't know if any of them have made it here today. I know they were. Oh, there he is, Jim, and I'm sorry. Oh, the rest of them are busy working on. That's good, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. But no, Jim's heads up an amazing team, and Jim being from Toledo, and like I said, the history. This is what it's all about. It's kind of like me training here and then staying here, and Jim being in the community and his dedication to the community and doing the right thing for the community. And when Jim decided to come, I never forget the conversation. I know exactly where I was. I said, Jim, this is transformative for the community. What you're doing is transformative for the community, and is starting off what I think is going to be, a huge momentum wave, and that's exactly what happened. So thank you, Jim, and your commitment to the community. So these are all world-class surgeons we have here locally. They serve the entire community, which means that they're at all the hospitals in the region.
Yeah, all right. So I think we talk about numbers. You kind of put names up there of different specialties, but these are the people, right? These are the faces of these physicians. So lucky to have some of them in the room, but if not, here are the new physicians that we've been able to bring on, and they've joined our foundational physicians that have been here. So we talked a lot about Dr. Riley being here. Dr. Terabishi's here as well. He's been here for a long time, and just extremely proud of the talent that we have here. We've had a really good team for a really long time. Now we're able to give them partners to help them get a little work-life balance maybe, and to just continue to build those programs. So when you're the only person, or you're 1 and 2, you're struggling just to get through the day, get through the patients. Now we can take a step back. We can look at building programs, building these multidisciplinary programs that we talked about, so that we can co-locate services for families. So instead of going one day to see the nephrologist, and one day to see the urologist, and one day to go see the GI doc, you can come and have one appointment, and you're able to kind of hit all of those specialties. And so again, it's just really extremely important for families.
I think I saw Heather Mead is here. Heather, if you would stand, she's the head of our inpatient division.
Zuby's in the back.
Dr. Najib Zuby
He is our one of our pediatric gastroenterologists. He's also the hepatologist I was talking about, a handful of individuals like him with his talent in the world. So, and did I miss any of our other docs here right now?
Oh, Anderson,
Dr. Anderson.
sports
He's
med.
our pediatric sports med doc. Again, I want to show those people so that you can, walk up to them, talk to them, get to know them a little bit better. But I just wanted to say thank you again, these individuals that have relocated their families here in Northwest Ohio. Kind of like me, I fell in love with the community, and the medical school got me here, and then I love the community, love the food. So, yep, so.
Sorry, we'll talk all day, so we're gonna keep going. All right, so I think just really quickly, what we're showcasing here is just the number of patients we're serving. We've had about a 57% increase in the number of visits since Nationwide Children has come here, so that's just a huge increase from an access perspective. And then behavioral health visits, we had 0 before because we didn't do them, and so now we were able to serve last year over 2,000 families.
One of those families I know, Dad's here today, and we're going to hear a little bit more in a video we're going to show, but this is a family of mine. The Lorenz family was impacted by this. We just talked earlier. And one of their children that we did not have the services from an ENT standpoint ended up going to Columbus, and then 12 years later, guess what? Those services are here now, so all of their follow-up can be done here locally, and we're going to see them in a video here in a bit. Charlotte, this is somebody with an incredibly rare genetic condition, wasn't expected to live beyond the newborn period. In fact, delivered at an outlying hospital because they didn't think she was going to live, lived, and now accesses all of our specialists here in Toledo with all the people that we brought on board. Social determinants of health, this is something that a lot of you in the audience know about. But this is kind of staggering. 80% of the child's health outcomes is due to their social determinants and not their medical determinants. That's staggering. So we need your help here in the community. That's why we partner with so many people in the community in terms of education and in terms of making sure that they have their belly full, making sure that they've got access to getting to their appointments. All that is huge. 80% of the outcomes is based on social, and only 20% is the health care they receive.
Yeah, so I'll just go real quickly here. So Maumee Valley Habitat, another one of our partners, lead poisoning, it's huge in Lucas County. So partnering with them to try to do some lead abatement there. Roof repair, again, it's all about housing, hunger, and your health, right? So those are a lot of the core values that we're looking at, and we can't do it alone. We rely on all of you as experts. So here's some of our partners. So we have a lot of guests here today. If you'll stand and just be recognized, anybody that we partner with, your logo may or may not be on here, but I see Whitney, I see all of you people here on the reserve tables. These are, yes, please stand, be recognized. Thank you for welcoming us into the community. Thank you for embracing us. Thank you for allowing us to serve alongside you, to serve the children and the women of Northwest Ohio. And then I think we're just gonna end here, some of our volunteer work there. I know Dr. Mills has one of his patients there. And then we'll end with a quick video.
And all the benefits of this community. It's easy to fall in love with, to raise a family and to live. The potential is phenomenal, what we can do in terms of building programs and continuing to bring that expertise here locally. All about what we can do for our kids and their families.
It's been very nice that the community has really cared about making Northwest Ohio a great spot to get first-rate medical care. I think everyone knows that when we all collaborate and work together, that everyone will be made better for it.
I think what's most exciting is building relationships, building partnerships, and getting to know the community here in Toledo and seeing the passion and the commitment that exists around population health and community health and finding ways to be a part of that.
Old school thought process is a doc just takes care of a physical or a medical condition. But we now understand that we have to take care of the total child. We need to really understand the challenges the families are going through.
When you think of children, you have probably the most vulnerable population because they're not always able to advocate for themselves. If their family is struggling to be well, that trickles down to kids.
Knowing that population health is a space where we're looking at those social determinants of health. When we're doing that, we are including the community, looking at the collective of what we can do as partners.
Having all of these partners together is helping us save our neighborhoods. So our vision is a world where everyone has a decent place to live.
Home is literally where the heart is. My sister told me about Habitat for Humanity. We start building it this year. My son been asking me all the time, when is our house gonna be done? When can he have his own room? So I'm excited for him to have his own room. It's gonna be relieving, knowing that he has a place to call his own.
You know, I think we have some amazing organizations on the front lines doing work every single day to support kids and their families. Connecting Kids to Meals is just one of them. We can't do this work alone, so we need our partner sites who are working with kids already so that we can come alongside of what they're doing to make sure that our kiddos have full bellies in order to learn and in order to play.
We are always going to make sure that we are focusing on patient care and delivering quality care. That goes without saying. But to be able to extend that mission and say, we are going to help people think about all of these social factors that maybe inherently don't seem like health care, but it is care for people. And that is really what we strive to do.
I really love trying to focus on building up the family. We try to raise parents here too. And I'm seeing these kids thrive and do all the things that they can be capable of doing. Overcoming any obstacle, that is the best part of my job, is seeing that family care.
My wife Alice and I are blessed with 3 children. Samuel's 11, Isaac is 8, and Nathan is 3. Our kids are #1 priority for us. The footprint that Nationwide Children's is investing and putting in Northwest Ohio for future care, we're excited about that. We've had an experience with being able to be seen up here with Dr. Elmer Augie and his group. So that's just makes it so much easier, not only for our kids, but for the community. Being able to have that access to those specialists, not having to travel, getting answers and treatment right away is important to our family.
Thank you guys for having us today. We really just wanted to come today, create awareness around what we've been doing so that you can share that. We would love for you to kind of be our ambassadors out in the community, just letting people know what it is that we're doing so that families, they think you don't have it because we haven't had it in decades, and now we do. So we want to make sure that they're aware of that, and we're just going to keep going.
Amen to that, yeah.
Thank you very much for a great presentation. I'm sure you've got questions, and so we'll ask you guys to stick around for a few minutes if you've got some time to answer questions. Feel free to come on up and ask those. It's a tradition here at Toledo Rotary to say thank you for your being here and give you a gift. We have for both of you a copy of a book authored by a past president of our club called Historical Tales of Toledo, of which you guys are certainly writing new chapters of as we speak. We're also going to make a donation in both of your names to Rotary International's Polio Plus Fund to join their efforts to eradicate polio. Thank you very much. Another round of applause for Dr. Mills and Jennifer Strauss. All right, on June 16th, we will have Ted Long with us talking about the history of Toledo's lost eateries. Jennifer, I know you're going to want to be here. He's talking about the ones that have gone away. June 23rd, District Governor Tim Ryan and I will sit down for a fireside chat discussing his year in leadership with the district. And we will finish out the month and finish out this Rotary fiscal year on June 30th with one last Service Above Self Day. Again, a reminder, my goal at the start of the year was to have 100 Rotarians serving all on the same day. We have certainly exceeded that throughout the year, but we're going to make that happen all on one day on June 30th. So if you've not already signed up for a project, please do so. Committee chairs are working on identifying those projects, and that sign-up sheet may have been in the spoke, which I did not read as thoroughly as I should have before this meeting. But I will read that afterwards, and we'll make sure we get that link to you guys. So thank you very much. Thank you for everything you're doing. Judd, thanks for the recommendation. And thanks to all of you for being here. Go out, make it a great day, and we are adjourned.